Hi children, welcome back to our biology class. Hope you all are listening and enjoying the classes and doing your works properly, isn't it? So before starting the class, I want to share my feelings. See the desk and benches behind me. It is vacant. How sad it is, like. നിങ്ങളില്ലാത്തൊരു സ്കൂൾ, നിങ്ങളില്ലാത്ത ക്ലാസ്സുകൾ, അവിടെ ഞങ്ങളിപ്പോൾ വന്ന് നിങ്ങൾക്കായി ക്ലാസ്സസ് റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് ഒറ്റയ്ക്ക്. സോ ഇതിനെ ക്ലാസ് എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ഇല്ല. വിത്തൗട്ട് യു ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നത്തിങ്, അല്ലേ? നിങ്ങളില്ലാതെ ഇതിനൊരു ക്ലാസ് റൂം എന്ന് പറയാൻ ഞങ്ങൾക്കാവുന്നില്ല. വി മിസ് യു ഓൾ. ഹോപ്പ് യു വിൽ കം സൂൺ. And we will meet together and we'll have fun, isn't it? Pray God, and most importantly, you must take care of your health, especially this is rainy season. നന്നായിട്ട് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കേണ്ട സമയമാണ്. കാരണം ഡിസീസസ് വരാൻ കൂടുതൽ ചാൻസ് ഇപ്പോഴാണ്. എസ്പെഷ്യലി ഡെങ്കു, മലേറിയ, ചിക്കൻ ഗുനിയ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള സ്പ്രെഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഡിസീസസ് വരാൻ ചാൻസ് കൂടുതലാണ്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ കൊതുക് കടി കൊള്ളാതിരിക്കുക. വീട്ടിൽ കൊതുക് വളരാനുള്ള സാഹചര്യം കഴിവതും നമ്മൾ ഒഴിവാക്കുന്നതാണ് ഏറ്റവും നല്ലത്. അപ്പോൾ വെള്ളം കെട്ടി നിൽക്കുന്ന അവിടെയൊക്കെ വൃത്തിയാക്കുക. അച്ഛനോടും അമ്മയോടൊക്കെ പറയാം. നിങ്ങൾക്കും ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യാം. ആൻഡ് സറൗണ്ടിങ്സ് ഒക്കെ വൃത്തിയാക്കി വെക്കുക. അത് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ് മഴക്കാലത്ത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ വെള്ളം കുടിക്കുന്നതും ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുക. നന്നായിട്ട് തിളപ്പിച്ച ആറിയ വെള്ളം തന്നെ കുടിക്കാൻ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുക. ചൂടുവെള്ളം കുടിക്കുന്നതും ഏറ്റവും നല്ലതാണ്. ചൂടോട് കൂടിയിട്ട് വെള്ളം കുടിക്കുക. അതുപോലെ മഞ്ഞൾപ്പൊടി, കുരുമുളക്, തുളസി ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ളതൊക്കെ ഇട്ടിട്ട് കഷായ ഇടയ്ക്കൊക്കെ വെച്ച് കുടിക്കുക. മഞ്ഞൾപ്പൊടി ബെസ്റ്റാണ്. എല്ലാ രോഗങ്ങൾക്കും ഏറ്റവും നല്ലൊരു ക്യൂർ ചെയ്യാനുള്ളൊരു മരുന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് മഞ്ഞൾപ്പൊടി, അതുപോലെ കുരുമുളക് എന്നിവ. സോ ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് നിങ്ങളുടെ ഹെൽത്തുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട കുറച്ച് കാര്യങ്ങൾ. കാരണം ഇന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത് നമ്മൾ ഏറ്റവും ഇപ്പോൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കി കഴിഞ്ഞു, ഹെൽത്ത് ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ഒന്നുമില്ല, അല്ലേ? ഒന്നും ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഹെൽത്താണ് നമുക്ക് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കേണ്ട കാര്യം. അപ്പോൾ ഇതൊക്കെ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുമെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. നൗ ലെറ്റ്സ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് അവർ ക്ലാസ്. So in the last class, my teacher had discussed about many things about cell, that is discovery of cell and history, milestones in the history of cell biology and the cell theory, plant cell and structure and the parts inside the cell and the cell organelles. Cell organelles means the small organs present inside the cell. And you might have studied the functions also, isn't it? Now let's remember what are the main parts of the cell commonly present in all the cells. എല്ലാ സെല്ലിലും കോമൺ ആയിട്ട് ഏതൊക്കെ പാർട്സ് ആണുള്ളത്? Yes, that is cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. So I am going to teach you about the differences between the cytoplasm and one more new term, that is protoplasm. So let's see what are the differences between a cytoplasm and a protoplasm. Cytoplasm is the jelly-like substance present inside the cell where all the cell organelles are present. Cytoplasm എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഈ സെൽ ഓർഗനൽസ് ഒക്കെ അവിടെ നിർത്താനുള്ള ഒരു മീഡിയമാണ്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് എ ജെല്ലി ലൈക്ക് ഫ്ലൂയിഡ് സബ്സ്റ്റൻസ് ആണ്. ആൻഡ് വാട്ട് ഈസ് ന്യൂക്ലിയസ്? ന്യൂക്ലിയസ് അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു സെല്ലിൻ്റെ ഭാഗം മാത്രം, അല്ലേ? സെല്ലിനകത്ത് ഒരു ഭാഗമാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ ബാക്കിയുള്ള ഭാഗം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ സൈറ്റോപ്ലാസും ഈ സെൽ ഓർഗനൽസും എല്ലാം കൂടി അടങ്ങിയത്, അല്ലേ? ഒന്നിച്ചാണ്. ആൻഡ് സോ വാട്ട് വി ക്യാൻ കോൾ ടുഗെദർ ഈ സെൽ മെംബ്രെയിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് ഈ സൈറ്റോപ്ലാസും സെൽ ഓർഗനൽസും ദിസ് ന്യൂക്ലിയസ് ഇതെല്ലാം കൂടി ചേരുന്ന ഒരു അതിനെ കളക്റ്റീവ്ലി വി ക്യാൻ കോൾ ദം ആസ് പ്രോട്ടോപ്ലാസം. ഇതിനെ ഒന്നിച്ച് നമ്മൾ ഇതിനെ പ്രോട്ടോപ്ലാസം എന്ന് പറയും. So what about the things when we exclude the nucleus? ന്യൂക്ലിയസിനെ മാറ്റി നിർത്തിയാൽ ബാക്കി കാണുന്നതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ സൈറ്റോപ്ലാസം എന്ന് പറയും, ഇൻക്ലൂഡിംഗ് ദ സെൽ ഓർഗൻസ്. So it is the medium in which the cell organelles are present. Also we can collectively call the cell organelles and the jelly-like substance, collectively we can call the cytoplasm, and the cytoplasm, cellular membrane and the nucleus all together we can call as protoplasm. Hope you have understood the differences between the cytoplasm and protoplasm.
Now you read the paragraph given in the text.
So before going to the topic nucleus, you must know how it is possible to study about the nucleus and also the cell organelles you have studied earlier. See, is it possible with the help of our compound microscope in our lab? You might have studied about the compound microscope and its parts and how to prepare the slide, isn't it? We can see the cells, but is it possible to see the deep inside the cell, that is cell organelles and nucleus and all? Never. It is not possible, because a compound microscope can magnify an object 2000 bigger than its size. So how it is possible? Yes, we have something more advanced microscope, that is development has happened in the field of science, and also the microscopes also developed along with the development of science and technology. And we have electron microscopes for this purpose of studying about this nucleus, cell organelles and all. And these electron microscopes use electrons instead of the light in a compound microscope. Where we use light in the compound microscope, light use ചെയ്യുന്ന പോലെ തന്നെ electrons ആണ് നമ്മൾ electron microscope യൂസ് ചെയ്യാം. So ഇതുകൊണ്ട് എന്താണ് ഗുണമെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, it can go deep inside of the cell, the nucleus, cell organelles and all, and we find out the minute things inside it. So അതിനെ കുറച്ചും കൂടി നന്നായിട്ട് മാഗ്നിഫൈ ചെയ്ത് കാണിക്കുകയും അതിൻ്റെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ട് വ്യക്തമായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് കാണിച്ചു തരുകയും ചെയ്യും. So this electron microscope is very expensive also. It is found in research labs. റിസർച്ചിനൊക്കെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് electron microscope, but in our labs we use compound microscope and this simple microscopes. So now read this in your text. Now let's move on to the next important part, that is nucleus. ഒരിക്കലും ഒഴിച്ചുകൂടാൻ പറ്റാത്തൊരു ആളാണ് നമ്മുടെ ന്യൂക്ലിയസ്, ബിക്കോസ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ദ മെയിൻ കൺട്രോളിംഗ് ആൻഡ് റെഗുലേറ്ററി സെന്റർ. Nucleus is also called the regulatory center of the cell. Why? Because we have principle, right?
See how our principal acts as a nucleus in our school. Can you guess?
What is the role of our principal in the school? Yes, he controls and coordinates all the functions going on in the school. ഒരു സ്കൂൾ നടത്തി പോകാനും അതിനുള്ള എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും നടത്തി പോകാനും അതിൻ്റെ ചുമതല ഏൽക്കുന്നതും അതിൻ്റെ മെയിൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ അന്വേഷിച്ചതിനെ റെഗുലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതും നമ്മുടെ ഒരു ലീഡറായിട്ട്, അല്ലേ? ഏതൊരു കാര്യത്തിനും ഒരു ലീഡർ ആവശ്യം. Like that, our cell also need a leader, that is the nucleus. It has asked many times in the exams, that is the same question, nucleus, the regulatory center of the cell, how or why it is called. The answer is just simple. As I said earlier, we have a leader in the cell, that is nucleus, which controls and coordinates all the activities inside the cell. So cellinathu nadakkunna all the activities is controlled by the nucleus. Especially the synthesis of proteins is under the control of the genes present in the chromatin reticulum inside the nucleus. Now let us discuss about the parts of a nucleus. We have 5 main parts in a nucleus, that is nuclear membrane, nuclear core, nucleoplasm, nucleolus and chromatin reticulum. membrane. We have a membrane outside the cell, isn't it? What we can call it? Yes, cell membrane. Like that, the nucleus also have a membrane, that is nuclear membrane. And this nuclear membrane is a double layered membrane that covers the nucleus. And the next part is the nuclear pore. These are the pores seen outside the nuclear membrane, which allows the conduction of materials to and from the nucleus. And the next part is the nucleolus. These are the spherical bodies seen inside the nucleus, which play a major role in the synthesis of ribosomes. And next, the nucleoplasm. It is the fluid substance present inside the nucleus, like we have in the cell, cytoplasm. So fluid inside the cell is called a cytoplasm. Like that, in the nucleus also we have a jelly-like substance or fluid called nucleoplasm. The nucleolus and the chromatin reticulum is present in the nucleoplasm. Next part is chromatin reticulum. Seen as a network in the nucleoplasm, they carry genes. Genes are the hereditary unit of an organism, isn't it? നിങ്ങളുടെ സ്വഭാവം, that is your all character, your features are controlled by the genes. അല്ലേ? നിങ്ങളുടെ ചിലപ്പോൾ അച്ഛൻ്റെയോ അമ്മയുടെയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മുത്തശ്ശിയുടെയൊക്കെ സ്വഭാവങ്ങളോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഫീച്ചേഴ്സോ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കാണുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ബിക്കോസ് ഓഫ് ദ ഹെറിഡിറ്ററി, അല്ലേ? നിങ്ങളുടെ പാരമ്പര്യം അത് ക്യാരി ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഈ ജീൻസ് ആണ്. അച്ഛൻ്റെ അമ്മയുടെയൊക്കെ ബ്ലഡ് വഴി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ക്രോമസോംസ് വഴി these genes are carried, and you will these features or characters will pass on to the next generation because of the genes present in the nucleus. Hope you have understood well about the parts of a nucleus. Now you will be able to complete the table given in your text, table 1.1, and also draw a diagram of nucleus in your file and label the parts. Now I am going to take a break. You also take a break now and come back to my teacher's class. She will continue the chapter and also will finish by the end of the video. Now take care, enjoy.
So dear children, you have learned about the nucleus, its structure and its function, role in a cell, isn't it? We can call the nucleus as the brain of the cell. As you all know that in our body, the brain controls and coordinates all the functions in our body, isn't it? The same manner, the nucleus in the cell controls and coordinates all the physiological functions take place in a cell. So it is very clear about the nucleus, isn't it? Now we are moving on to the next topic. So before discussing about the next topic, I have a question for you. And the question is it possible for an organism to survive on Earth without nucleus? What is your opinion about this? Have you ever thought about this? We all know that the world of living beings is so mysterious. Anything can happen anywhere at any time, isn't it? It is possible for certain organisms. They can live even without a nucleus. So all living beings in the biosphere are sorted out into one of the two groups, the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are made up of cells that do not possess a cell nucleus or any other membrane-bound cell organelles. Examples are bacteria, cyanobacteria and mycoplasma. Mycoplasma is the ever-known smallest living cell and its diameter is 0.1 micron. The next we discuss on eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are made up of cells that possess a membrane-bound nucleus and all other membrane-bound cell organelles. All animals are eukaryotes, and the other eukaryotes includes plants, fungi, and amoeba, paramecium, and euglena. So that's all about prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Now let us have a look at the picture on the screen. So in the picture you can see a boy standing in front of a fruit shop, and he is thinking about what he is thinking. He is thinking that why the fruits change their color and taste when they ripen. Haven't you heard such doubt before? Or have you ever thought about this when you eat a ripened mango or an apple or an orange? So now we are going to discuss about the reason behind the color change of fruits when they ripen. Not only the color change, the taste also changes, isn't it? Okay, so we will learn about one of the important plant cell organelle, that is plastids. Okay, so there are three types of plastids present in the plant cell, and they are chloroplast, chromoplast and leucoplast. And the answer for the question is here only in this plastids. So you all have heard about chloroplast. It's a very familiar term, isn't it? Because photosynthesis is taking place in the chloroplast. Moreover, the green pigment chlorophyll is present in the chloroplast, and which imparts green color to the leaves. The green color of this leaf or these leaves are the chlorophyll present in the leaf, and this chlorophyll are seen in the chloroplast. Is that clear? Okay. The next plastid is chromoplast. Chromoplast imparts color to the fruits and flowers. See, in your garden or around the nature, we can see a diversity among the fruits and flowers. A variety of colors you can see among the fruits and flowers, isn't it? So from where do they get this color? They get this color from the plastid chromoplast. And the chromoplast contains three important pigments, and they are xanthophyll, carotene and anthocyanin. The xanthophyll has yellow color. See, I have yellow color flowers with me. Have you seen this flower? It's very beautiful, isn't it? And the beautiful yellow color is from the pigment xanthophyll. Not only this flower, there are many yellow colored flowers are there, isn't it? Similarly, fruits also you have seen. And the reason behind the color is the pigment xanthophyll, which is present in the chromoplast. Is that clear? Okay. Then the next pigment is anthocyanin, and anthocyanin imparts purple or red color to the flowers and fruits. Now I have a purple flower with me. See, very beautiful. This color, pink as well as purple, isn't it? So purple, pink, red, blue, violet, all these colors are imparting by the anthocyanin. Understood all of you? Then the third one is carotene. Do you like carrot? I like carrot. See, all of us like carrot, isn't it? And it is orange in color, isn't it? Yellowish orange in color. And that yellowish orange, that color, the carrot gets from the pigment carotene. All the beautiful yellowish orange flowers, fruits are getting the color, their color from the pigment carotene. So here I have a small yellowish orange flower this I have plucked from our school garden. Like that, many flowers will be there in your home, isn't it? So, the flowers and fruits get their color from the various pigments present in the chromoplast. So, the various ranges of these pigments impart different colors to various plant parts like the flowers and fruits. Hope you all have understood about the three types of pigments present in the chromoplast. Now we move on to the third type of plastid known as leucoplast. It is a colorless plastid and it is mostly seen in the food storage parts of a cell. That means its function is food storage. It stores the starch. Is that clear about all the three plastids? Now we will come to the point. The reason behind the color change and the taste change when a fruit ripens. So when a fruit ripens, the chloroplast changes into chromoplast and the starch is converted into sugar. You got it? When a fruit ripens, the chloroplast changes into chromoplast and the starch is converted into sugar. Okay, see, you know that starch is complex sugar. See, when we drink the rice soup, what's the taste of it? Is it having a sweet taste? No, it does not have a sweet taste, isn't it? Because it is a complex sugar. But when it becomes sugar, like glucose, it is soluble in water so that we can very easily identify the taste. Understood all of you? So now you got the answer, or now you got the reason behind the color change and taste change. Sometimes you would have seen the leaves like this. Here you can see multiple color in the leaves. The reason is, in these leaves, the various pigments are present along with the chlorophyll and the cyanin, then xanthophyll, carotene. All these pigments are seen. A mixture of pigments are present in these kind of leaves. Then one more thing I'll tell you. If a leaf is completely purple color or dark brown color, even then chlorophyll is present. It is it is not dominant, but it is present, because without chlorophyll photosynthesis will not take place. Hope it is clear. So dear children, now you have learned about the plant cell organelles and their physiological functions, isn't it? So now let us discuss on the structure of animal cell by which our body is made up of. So this is the structure of a typical animal cell, and near to it you can see the structure of a plant cell also. So what you have to do is, you have to observe both the plant cell and the animal cell and find out the cell organelles which are common among both plant cell and animal cell, and just note it down in the file. Have you all noted down? Okay. Next what you have to do is, find out the cell organelles which are exclusively present in the plant cell. That means which are present only in plant cell. Got it? That also you have to note down. And the next thing, observe the animal cell and find out which are the cell organelles present only in the animal cell. Hope you all have noted down it. Okay. Now I will tell you just to see what you have written is correct or not. Okay. So the common cell organelles are cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, mitochondrion and Golgi complex. Is that clear? What you have written is correct? Okay, good. Then next, the cell organelles present only in plant cells. They are cell wall and plastids and vacuole also. Correct? Okay. Next, the cell organelles seen only in the animal cells, and they are centrosome and lysosome. So, what you have done now? Actually, we were comparing the plant cell and animal cell. Isn't it? Okay. So, all the other cell organelles and their function you have already learned. But you don't know about the structure and function of centrosome and lysosome. So, let us discuss on centrosome and lysosome. Okay. So, centrosome is an animal cell organelle and it is composed of centrioles and they play very important role in cell division. Then next one is lysosome. Lysosome contains digestive juices required for the destruction of foreign substances, and they are also known as suicidal bags because when a foreign substance attracts the cell, the lysosome bursts out and release the enzymes inside the cell. So sometimes these digestive enzymes will digest the entire cell along with the foreign substance, so that it is known as suicidal bags. So hope the function of lysosome and centrosome is clear, isn't it? So now it is the time to wind up the chapter. So in this chapter we have learned about many things, isn't it? The microscope, the preparation of the observation material, then the history of cell biology, how the first time cell discovered, milestones in the history of cell biology, then cell theory, then the plant cell structure, protoplasm, cytoplasm, then the cell organelles, their structure and function, then the microscope, the different types of microscopes, then the structure of nucleus, then we have learned about prokaryotes, eukaryotes, then plastids, then animal cell, structure of animal cell, then we compared the plant cell and animal cell. And you have seen a Venn diagram in the textbook, isn't it? With the help of that only we compared the plant cell and animal cell. Like a Venn diagram, you can draw for comparing the prokaryotes and eukaryotes also. Just try it. Okay. Many things you have learned in this chapter, but one message is there in this chapter. See, all the organisms, living organisms are made up of cells, isn't it? So, outside their external structure is different, but internally all the organisms are one. Internally all living beings are made up of cells, isn't it? And all these cells, they together work. Then only that living being can exist, isn't it? So that oneness, togetherness is very, very important for the existence of us, isn't it? So how inside our body the cells are working together, in the same manner in the society we all have to stand together. Then only we can lead a happy life. So that's a message you have to acquire from this chapter along with the many things you have to learn. Along with that, this is the message that you have to understand from this chapter. Then along with this video, we will send you the notes so that you can complete the letters SS work, and one more video we will be sending along with this video. You must watch it, because by watching that video you will get a clear-cut idea about the cell organelles, their functions. Okay, so hope you all have understood the concepts we have discussed in this class. So we will meet in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.